Hello everybody, welcome back. As you can see, straight into the action here. What I am doing is tracing a photograph using carbon paper. If you're old enough, you'll know what that is. For those of you who are not old enough, this is a way of tracing. And so I have another photograph underneath that carbon paper, backside up, to trace my picture onto. I'm going to attempt to recreate this photograph, and I'm starting by using these coloured UV resins. I got this idea initially from Johnny at DarkArtCreatorium. I will link his channel. He's an amazing artist. He actually draws pictures and then resins over them. I can't draw to save my life, therefore I'm tracing the picture and then I'm able to use that picture as a reference for where I want to put my colours. I will also link Tracy at Miniscenes GB. She has done something similar because Johnny challenged Tracy to do a project in his style. So what Tracy did was she traced a picture using the carbon paper like myself. Then she painted it. Then she used clear UV over the top to make it a bit more 3D. So the only difference between myself and Tracy's methods is that she painted then used clear, whereas I'm trying to use coloured UV. As an afterthought, now that I think about it, I think I'm wishing that I had done it Tracy's way, except I think I'd be more inclined to use coloured pens rather than paint. Now I have 4 cats. I don't do them all on camera. These took me a very long time to do. I do show more or less all of this cat being made. I like to see it developing, and I hope you will too. In hindsight, I wish I had done a different cat on camera, but unfortunately I didn't. I started with this cat thinking it would be the easiest one to do because it's got quite a defined pattern, but the amount of white on the cat made it really difficult, because it was difficult to add in shadows without it looking like a stripe, a pattern of the cat. It was really difficult to draw the balance between making shadows and not making it look silly. That will become more evident with a different white cat, which you will see towards the end, because I don't do that one on camera. To cut the video down to a reasonable amount of time, I've cut out all the time that I've got the UV light on it, and I cut out a lot of the where I'm just painting white because you can barely see it, so I've not put you through that. Later on, when I show you the other cats that I have recreated, you'll see, or I'll explain why I wish I had done a different cat on camera. But again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And with that other cat, I do a second coat, a little bit of it on camera, because it needed another coat anyway. So I thought, just to show you something a little bit more interesting, I do a bit of that second coat for you as well on a more interesting coloured cat. And there is a different cat, and I'll tell you which when I show you the pictures. I'll show you which one I actually did a live stream on just for an hour or so, just to get him started off and give you a sneak peek of this project that I was working on. So I will link the live stream, if you can link live streams. I assume you can. So if you want to have a look at that, please do. And with that, I will let you watch this for a couple of minutes with some music. And at this point, it's been a couple of weeks between working on the project. So I'm just thinking about what I want to do to progress it. I'm not happy with how pale the ears are. So I'm actually now using an opaque colour rather than the coloured UVs. I'm mixing in pigments with clear UV. So I've gone to a pigment colour, an opaque pigment colour. This looks really red on camera, but it doesn't look that bad when it's finished. I'm also just going to continue building up the blacks and the whites to make it a bit more 3D. Something I forgot to mention earlier. The reason I traced onto the back of another photograph is for the glossiness. These are going to get peeled away from their backing. My intention initially when starting this project was to put these in coasters or photo frames because I thought it would be a nice difference. Rather than just put photos in frames or in coasters, I wanted a recreated photo, my artwork, in a coaster or photo. It doesn't work out like that in the end, which I'll come on to later. But yeah, the reason why I'm using a glossy backing is so that I can peel them away rather than standard paper. Now, as you can see, as I'm building up the colours, I'm not getting them right. But the beauty of this is you can either wipe it away or you can go over it again, because I'm not too concerned with how thick these pictures end up being. If it ends up too thick because I'm putting on other layers on top of different colours until I find the colour balance that I'm happy with, then so be it. It looks really bad at the moment, but I promise you it doesn't turn out as bad as this. And again, keep watching because I do a better job on the cats that had more colour in them, which I'll say it again, I'll say it until the end of my days. I really wish I had recorded myself doing the colourful cats. They looked so much more complicated to do. But with hindsight, because they're so colourful, I didn't have to worry too much about shadows and the fact that shadows just look wrong on a white cat. It looks like I've put a stripe on. And obviously this is artwork. It doesn't have to be realistic. I just didn't want, as long as the faces looked reasonably correct, I didn't want them to have really weird looking faces, which happens with one of them. But with the colourful cats, you can just really do whatever colours you want and it would still look good, I think. Okay, I've jumped ahead quite a bit here. I really wanted to show you the colour developing and how I had to change colours, and I showed you earlier how I rubbed all out and started again. I really wanted to show you the whole process, but it's just too long a video. This was a 4-hour video, and that's without even showing you most of it on camera. So I've had to cut it down to under half an hour, but hopefully you've got the idea basically anyway. So I'm going to jump ahead again. Okay, you won't be able to see, but I have got the white on as well now, and I'm peeling it away from the backing. Before I go any further with explaining the project, I'd just like to say thank you to all my subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the variety of work that I do. Some of it is experimental, and some of it I do put a lot of time into. And I'd also like to thank my friends in the Friendship Express collaboration. Anybody can join. All you need to do is check the playlist in the description. We have a playlist where one Saturday a month, on the second Saturday, there is a themed project, but on the other Saturdays, you can submit any video you want, and it's just added to this playlist so that we can all support each other. So if you go to the playlist, have a look at the other videos. There's some wonderful creators in there. The collaboration is run by Amy from Resonating Art by Amy M, Susie at Serendipity Resin Creations, Sally at All Aboard Resin Creations, and Tina at Pour Resin with Love. You'll find their videos in the playlist, and then you can go to their channel descriptions to get their contact details to ask them to join. Now here's a quick funny story for you. I want to get into wire work, and I thought jewellery would be too fiddly for me, so I thought I could incorporate wire into a cat. So there's a previous attempt I made. It turns out that's really fiddly as well. Trying to make the wire shape using a photo as a guide, then fill in with resin, that was really difficult. Make the UV cat, then wire around it. Well, that's pretty much impossible. At least for me anyway. That actually doesn't look too bad on camera, that wire wrapped cat, but I don't like it. Okay, so here is the finished cat, sort of. I ended up using mica powders to get the colouring that I wanted. I've done a clear coat or two on top. That nose and mouth has ruined it. I'm really not happy with the nose and mouth. They are too fat. And so, you'll see in a moment when I flip it over, I am actually preferring that side. Other than I think that the ears need another colour coat on top to make them similar on this side than what's on the other side. But in terms of the nose and mouth area, the pinkness isn't quite as fat. So I do think that later on I go over the nose and mouth again. That nose is too grey. And I think I go over the brown spots again. And I generally build up the shape on this side to make this side pop more rather than being sunken. Okay, so here's just a quick look at the second cat that I work on, but I don't do this one on camera. So just to show you that she has a deformed chin. She has an almost non-existing chin. She's got an underbite or an overbite, I'm not sure. So her face shape was really difficult to make, and so this is the one that goes badly wrong in the end. Right, okay, I've jumped ahead a few weeks in real time. This is the last cat that I worked on, and this is the one that I really wish I had done on camera. The other cat that you haven't seen a picture of yet is the one that I started off on live stream. So I will, as I say, link the live stream if I can, for you to go and have a little look at that if you wish. This one needed a second coat because partially, for some reason, the face had no colour. I'd somehow missed the colour on the left side as we're looking at it now. But also I was a bit unhappy that she was too gold. I needed to adjust her colouring slightly. So because this was the most interesting cat to work on and the most fun and the best result, I thought I would start off doing a bit of that second coat on camera for you. Just so that you've had a little bit of a change from looking at the white cat. So I'll just let you watch this for a couple of minutes to some music. In a moment, I jump ahead to attempting to make the stripiness under the chin, so in the neck area, so the mane, that's what it's called, isn't it? Difficult this, because you need a bit of brown and black showing through the white. UV obviously gels together. You've got to cure it up really quick, but it's really difficult to just draw a stripe. And I think, to be honest, if I'd have done stripes, white, black, brown, white, black, brown, it would have looked rubbish. The way that I did it was, I played about with the underneath colour, the background browns, so to speak. Then I did white on top, but then I cured it literally for only a couple of seconds, then scratched the pattern into the white. And here I'm just trying to put a bit of darker shading on the outside of the leg. The initial colour scheme was gold for the lightest brown, and then a medium brown or a light brown for the inner non-shadowed areas, and then a dark brown for the outer shadowed areas. With me then changing the gold to a light brown, I then had to use a darker brown for the inner leg lighter areas, and then find an even darker brown for the outer shaded areas. Oh, it looks like I tell a lie. I put more brown on top of the white. Maybe I should have left it how it was, but never mind. All right, so here is the finished cat called Pepper. And next we have Jasper. He's the one that we started on live stream. Now you will notice that his picture is flipped. That's because when I started it, I used the colour was too yellow. So I went over the top with white, and it ended up just looking a mess. So as with the other cat that you've already seen, flipping it over, I found I liked that side better, so I just continued working on the other side. He took me approximately 7 hours, and the reason I know that is because I started him on the live stream, which was 1 hour and a quarter, and then I finished him off in one session, and I know how long that session was, so I know he took me approximately 7 hours. I'm still not 100% happy with him. He either looked like a tiger, or I've ended up just putting white over areas that need to be brown. It was just really difficult to balance him. But overall, the face is the main thing that I was concerned about getting right, and I'm fairly happy with his face. And here's Peach. I'm really not happy with her mouth and chin area. I didn't put the shadowing on initially because I knew it was just going to look wrong. She's got such a narrow jawline that her neck is lower down, so instead of just being able to frame her chin and that be the top of her mane, if she had a mane, she's short haired, it was having to do a shadow for the chin and then do a shadow for the mane area. I do attempt it after all, and it doesn't work out. And here's Ruby, and as I said before, I preferred the flip side of her. I haven't as yet attempted to adjust the colouring on her ears. I can't remember if I do or not. I can't remember how long this took me to do. As I said, Jasper took 7 hours, but the other 3 I just did the odd patches here and there when I had a spare half hour or so. but I do know it's taken me a couple of months overall. Here you can see that I've attempted to put shadow on, and at this point I'm just done with this project. Poor Peach. But I'm so done with the project that I don't bother with putting them in photo frames or coasters. I decide I'm just going to put fridge magnets, put magnets on them and make them into fridge magnets. I've attempted various colour combinations for Peach's shadows, and now I'm just trying to scratch some sort of fur texture into them. Okay, I'm not going to let you suffer through that anymore. So here's the end pictures. Here's Peach. If you've got any tips on how to do this style of project, please let me know. Here's Ruby. Thank you again so much for watching. Let me know which is your favourite. Here's Jasper. And at the end I will show you a picture of them all together. And here's Pepper. Definitely proud of that one. I don't bother setting them up in the light box for the end pictures. It would be too difficult to stand them up. So when I show the end here on my work mat, that will be the end of the video. Thank you again for watching. Have a good week, and I really hope you'll join me again next week to see if I've done a nice simple project or chosen another wacky adventure. Bye bye.